Hello you lot. How's it going? How is it bloody going? What a great morning. What a great list. Just look at the morning. Done a little bit of a trip that way, and then I went that way, and then I decided I should just come here because today, or this morning, it's quite damp. There's a lot of dews about on the ground, on the grass. And I went to a field, started walking to the end of it, where I would like to go, and my feet were drenched. And I thought to myself, no, not today. So I turned around and come back. Because I don't want to get my lovely car wet today. I'm just not in the mood for drying it off. Just not in the mood. Just not in the mood. So, we've got Savage OCTANE 15cc petrol Savage OCTANE ready to rock and roll. I've mended everything that I can find broken with it. I put new screws in the bumper so the bumper doesn't flap around anymore. I've done my best to put the ignition module in a place where the wires aren't as kinked. Charged up the batteries, put plenty of petrol in it, which is very old. That petrol's probably about 6 years old, but that's alright, don't worry about it, just don't worry. Now, I did say, I've done a video, you probably see it by now, because by the time this video goes live, that video will definitely be live. And I said in it that some parts are hard to come by, and by that I meant second hand. You can get them, you can still get parts for this Savage OCTANE, brand spanking new. You can still get them. Places like Wheelspin Models do them, and I know that because a few weeks ago I was looking for Savage parts for my Savage SS, and Savage OCTANE parts kept coming up. Because if you just type Savage parts, obviously, and if you're too specific on Wheelspin Models, nothing comes up. If you're too specific, if you put Savage SS parts or Savage 21 or Savage 25 parts, you get a few, but mostly just a load of other rubbish. You think that's nothing to do with it. You have to be a little bit more broad to get what you want. So I just put Savage, and loads of Savage OCTANE parts come up. That ignition module, which is prone to breaking, going bad, is 140 or 137 quid or something like that. So when I said parts are hard to come by, I meant second hand. That's because not many people bought them. These Savage OCTANEs came out in 2000, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I've got because we were starting our family at the time, and that was about 2013, 2014. And I remember looking at this when HPI announced this. It must have been about 2012-ish when they announced it, and it eventually came out in 2014. And I wanted to get one, but I couldn't justify it. And I think, and some of you geeks out there will have to put this right. If you're a geek, put it right, or put it wrong, whatever you want to do. I'm pretty sure there was a version 2 scheduled to come out a few years later on. 2016, 17, somewhere around there. But I don't think it ever came out, because I didn't hear anything of it after that. Who knows? Anyway, the point is, you can still buy parts for it, brand spanking new. And I do believe you can buy things like LRP exhausts and other rubbish. Don't know, don't really care. Let's start it up, make some noise, get it to work, see what else we need to do to it. Oh man, they're digging up the bloody path, look. That's the bit of grass that I normally drive up and down, and all of this bit of road here is normally where I normally park when I come here, but they're digging the bloody place up. Unbelievable. They've not even found anything interesting, look. What are they digging it up for? Maybe that tree causing trouble for that building now, I don't know. Who knows? Who really knows? They've concreted that bit over there, look. And then they dug up that bit, putting it all there. Don't know what they're doing. Never mind. We've still got all of that to play with. Nice and dry, not full of dew. Oh. Right. Now we've got this, as we know, we've got this hooked up to the Futaba, because the transmitter that it came with got destroyed in the box when it was posted to me. So we're temporarily running, or maybe not temporarily, I don't know. It depends if I can get another transmitter than an original one to go with it. I like keeping these kind of things original But that being said, because this is within, you know, it's 10 years old. I mean, it might even be newer than 10 years old. It's not going to be older than 10 years old because it was 10 years ago it was released. So it could be newer than 10 years old because you can still buy them brand new now. You can buy the whole truck if you want to, brand spanking new, from several different places. Anyway, let's turn that on. Make sure we've got everything. Yeah, steering. Yeah. Now, something to keep in mind for you watching now, I haven't mended the throttle yet. We still only get 3/4 throttle. We're not getting full throttle. Full throttle there is only 3/4 throttle on the carburetor, on the car. So bear that in mind when you're watching it. You're thinking maybe it's a bit underpowered. We're not getting full throttle. I'm going to sort that out later on. I just wanted this morning just to run it. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. So, bit of primage. We'll try it without the choke. We'll see if it'll start without the choke. If it won't, then I'll give it some choke. Well, that didn't last long. Anyway, let's get the GoPro on and we'll go from there. Yes, something tells me it needs a little bit of adjustment, but we knew that anyway. We knew that anyway, so stop panicking. Just stop it. For God's sake, how many times have I told you not to panic? What do you mean? Well, I've told you before, don't panic. Sorry. Right. You might already be having ignition trouble. I mean, you just don't know, do you? I do need to... what's that is. Should be on tick over now. Better? That's not better. That's not better at all. Right. Oh, no, that wasn't very good, was it? I think we got trouble with that clutch somehow. That was a bit funny. What did it do that for? Whee! That wasn't good, was it? Ugh. Now all of a sudden we've got locked up wheels in reverse. No wonder. Have we got something dodgy going on with that? Clutch or diff or something. Because it wants to turn the engine over, which to me suggests the clutch. So we might have an issue with that clutch. As in, that could be that one of the springs or some of the springs have come off because it lurched forward, and now all it wants to do is drive. Humdy. Let's see. I'm not going to take it apart here. Pop that for a game of toy soldiers. Let's see what's going on, shall we? Right. So, in case you didn't spot it, what happened was it was ticking over. I turned the tick over down, it was better. And all of a sudden it went lurched forward and stalled. And now all it wants to do is try to turn the engine over when you push it backwards. Now to me that indicates, it does mean that there's something dicky going on with that clutch. What have I got to give it a whack? And let me try this ratchet. See if we can give it a bit of a whack. I don't think that's going to be any good, because if the springs, which I suspect has happened, is 1, 2, or I don't know how many clutch shoes are in there, to be honest, but there'd be at least 2. I'd imagine there'd be 3 or 4. It could be just 2 big ones, I don't know, but one of the springs, or all of the springs, or some of the springs have probably given off, broke off, come off. Maybe the clutch itself has exploded, so it's constantly engaged, which, yeah, so something like that I think has probably happened. I don't think it's to do with the, yeah, because if I turn the spur gear, that turns the pinion, that turns the clutch bell, which then wants to turn the engine. So at the moment I'm diagnosing it as not a gearbox problem but a clutch problem. So that's put an end to that. That's put an end to that at the moment, because I'm not going to take it apart here. I'm just simply not. What are you pointing down there for, you dickhead? There's quite simply nothing anyone can say or do to make me take it apart here in the middle of a car park. Absolutely not. So, not that I've brought enough tools to take it apart here in the middle of the car park. So I'll get home, stick it on the bench, move on with life, see what the problem is. God, what excitement. What bloody excitement. Some of you now probably be massively disappointed. You'll probably be depressed. You'll be going down to doctors asking for antidepressants. But what do? Life is great. When a problem comes along your way, solve it. Looks like the riff-raff is still coming here. Little skid marks all over the floor. When I was younger, look at all these skid marks here. Look. There's loads of them over there. Look. When I was younger, we used to come here and we used to drag race down that road. Down there. Like a motorbike or something, don't know. We used to drag race down there. Start here and drag race all the way to the end, and then you'd come back and turn off, go round. It's a big circle. I had a Saxo VTR and then I had a Mark 1 Focus RS. Good fun back in the day. I thought it all stopped, but it looks like it's all still here again. People still do it by the looks of things. Even more of them here, look. This is the end of it. All the way down there. This food van, right? Been here for ages. And then one day it was gone. They've obviously driven it on that tyre, taken it and bring it back because it had a clamp on it for ages. And now they bring it back. I'd love a food van like that. Anyway, you lot, I'll see you in a couple of hours, few hours when I get back home. We'll get that Savage on a bench. On the bench. There's only one bench. Well, I've got two benches, but we'll get it on a bench and we'll take it apart and see what's happening inside that clutch. I want you now, right now, to put in the comments, what do you think the problem is? From not having looking at it, taking it apart, just from what it's doing, I'm going to say the clutch. Either a clutch spring's come off or the clutch itself's had it. Something's happened inside that clutch bell anyway. Put in the comments what you think the problem is from seeing what you've seen the same as me. We're all in the same boat at this point. So what do you think is the problem? And when we get home, we'll find out. I don't think it is a diff problem. I don't think it's a gearbox problem. It's definitely clutch. I'm excited now. I'll get excited. We'll see. I'll see you in a few hours. In a couple of seconds for you. Well, we're back. The car's on the bench. I haven't taken it apart. I haven't done anything yet. Just put it on there. I still think it's the clutch. That little place that I showed you with the tyre marks on it, the drag race, and that brought back some great memories when we used to be on the drag strip there. Them memories were great. Sometimes I think to myself, wouldn't it be great just about to go back in time and relive some moments from your life? Anyway, let's take some of this apart and see how far we can get. And see if we can actually work out what the problem is. I don't think it's going to be anything too major. I reckon maybe it's just stuck. Probably just, I don't know how long it's sat around for. It probably sat around for a long period of time and now it's just stuck. I don't know. But what I do know is we're going to mend it. So we're going to have to take off this exhaust after all. I was trying to get around taking it off the other day. We're going to have to get it off because I've got to get this R-clip out to take the cage off, because I'm going to have to, as far as I can see, there's no way of getting in there to look at that clutch. So it's just going to be just like a nitro engine. The 4 bolts at the bottom, lift the engine out, have a look at the clutch. Simple as that. That is the only way that I can see this getting done. I've been getting a lot of replies, by the way, from you lot about what you call these. It's long-nosed pliers in most places, which is good to hear. We all call it the same sort of thing. Although now I can move that out of the way and get that R-clip out. Happy days. So if I put that little spring back in there like that, that means we won't lose it. Now I can get that R-clip out of there, that one out of there. I can get that one out of there, that one out of there, and this whole cage, that bloody stupid air filter, look. I'll get that off of there. We've got to get that plug boot can all just do that. What cock has cable tied that on there? Right, someone's cable tied that on it there, so we need to get that off of there. Look. You know what that is, don't you? This wire, this is the timing sensor, because we've got the ignition coil in that box, but obviously that needs to know when to fire the spark, when to send spark down this HT lead to the spark plug. So there's a little sensor on the flywheel or on the crank. It's a crank sensor basically, and it senses when it's getting up to its, you know, its compression, when it's coming up, so that it can fire the spark, because the spark is given just as it's coming up, just before TDC, and it's igniting and it's still going up, but then it goes and it explodes and it goes back down again. So that's the reason why it's got that sensor. Right, so with the cage off, you can see quite a bit more. Right, I think we'll just get it done. Well, there we go. This is your engine. 15 cc's of 2-stroke amazingness. 15. There's where the crank sensor goes in for the timing. And here is the carburetor. And this is our clutch. That shouldn't be like that. That should spin freely, but it's turning the engine. So that means we need to take off, it looks like we need to take this plate off the front, and then we should be able to, I don't think that, maybe I don't, no I don't have to take that plate off, I lied. Let me do that screw back up. I haven't got to take that plate off. I know, I can hear you. I can hear you screaming at me. Stop screaming, man. Bloody hell. Calm down. Calm down. We should better just take the bell off. Or maybe not. I don't know. I've got better try and hold it. Let me get a pair of pliers. This should do the trick. I'll wind these out a bit. Let me zoom you out. You're a bit too close. I thought so. I'll wind these out a bit. This should do the trick. We should better hold on to that. Like that. And oh, what a bastard! What a bastard! We don't want to strip that screw off, because then that means I'll have to get a grinder and cut the head off. We don't want to be doing that. We'll have to get out the old impact driver, but the trouble is I've only got one bit for it. And I think that's going to be far too big. All my other bits have all been lost over the years. The idea of this is, you hit this with a hammer, so you put your bit in the end there and you adjust it to what way you want it to turn. It's a bit stiff. Oh, it's stuck, but it's adjusted to what way you want it to turn, and then when you hit this with a hammer it turns. That goes in and it turns, so you're getting impact on it to break the seal or whatever it is that's holding the screw or the bolt, and it turns at the same time, if you can imagine that. Does a really good job, but as I say, over the years I've lost all the bits and I've only got that one bit left, and that one bit has definitely seen better days. So that's not going to be able to help us today. I'm going to go and get some penetrating fluid. Penetrating fluid, a little bit. And then we'll apply a little bit of heat to it. Bearing in mind we have got petrol there, but we'll apply a little bit of heat to it. Try and get that seal. There's obviously, maybe there's thread lock on it, I don't know what's on there, but I want it to come loose. I'm also going to go and get a better screwdriver. I've got a selection of screwdrivers here. Don't know what one's going to be the better option. Oh, I broke it loose. So now the clutch spins freely. Should we still take it apart? That's the question. The cowboy in me says no, don't bother taking it apart now. You've got it loose, you don't need to take it apart anymore. Ooh. That clutch ain't good. What a nightmare. Yes! There we go. Bit of perseverance, gentleness, a little bit of heat, some penetrating fluid, and we're off. Now maybe I was right. Maybe I do have to take that plate off and then undo those bolts. Because that's not coming off of there. Oh no, there it is. It's off. So, what's happened? Let's have a look and see. There's the bell. It's a little bit funny in there. Nothing too bad. Bearing. Now, what's happened to the clutch? I reckon it looks like it was catching on there. Look, it's quite rough. There's little bits on there. It's a 4-shoe clutch. There's little bits on there. Look. Looks like it's melted a little bit. Now, I reckon that could be because the tick over was too high. So the clutch was trying to engage. It got them hot. Got the clutch shoes hot. Melted them slightly, which then welded them to the bell. You can see the little pieces there of that's melted aluminium, that is, around there. That's where it's all melted, and then it's just got so much that there's a little piece of melted aluminium. So what I'm going to do, after seeing what I'm seeing, is I'm going to file these so there's no more bits poking off like that, poking out, no more little bits. Then I'm going to try and smooth the inside of this bell the best I can, put it back together, and hopefully, I've already lowered the tick over. We see that earlier on, didn't we? So hopefully that will fix that problem with any luck. I mean, I might have to get some new clutch shoes and a new bell in the future, but for now that should mend it. I've got this little file kit here. Look, it's bloody old. I've had it ever since I was a teenager, but it's a good little set of files. I reckon that one will probably do the trick. I don't care for any of you that turn around and say all the things I've heard in the past. You should never file clutch shoes. They won't work afterwards. You'll damage the material. I don't care, because they're already damaged. They've melted. Filing down the big blobs of melted aluminium is better than having the big blobs of melted aluminium on them. It's just so many reasons why you don't want the big blobs of melted aluminium. They're never going to work properly now anyway. So it's better. Like this one here, look. This one's got a great big blob on it. Can you see that? Bloody camera never stays still, tell you. Look at that. Great big blob there of melted aluminium. If I can get that off. That's not going to be catching on the bell. That's going to be doing a far better job than if it was there. There's a lot of it there though. I can almost guarantee 100% that's when the tick over was too high to start with, and I was trying to mess around. It melted the clutch. Simple as that. There's no other way around it. That is exactly what happened. So let's put this bearing back in that I melted with a lighter. We'll stick that back over there like that. That's what it should be like. Well, we shouldn't do that, obviously. It should just spin like that. That is what you call a perfect clutch bell. Right, so let me get all of these. I don't know whether all these little washers are on here or not. I didn't pay any attention. I got a funny feeling that one there, that little one there wasn't. That one and that one. So I think we definitely had 3 washers. And that screw. I think that screw is still perfectly good. I don't think there's no reason to get rid of that. So we put that one on there. We had 3 washers shimming off this screw. I'll put that in there like that. I'll do that up. Use this screwdriver because it's the one that got it out. That's alright, nothing wrong with that. What you can hear that is because one of the lumps of aluminium on one of those shoes was quite big, so I gave up filing it. It's rounded now. That will wear away. So that's perfect now. Happy days. Let's just have a quick look at this engine. It's just like what you would expect from a nitro engine, but it's just bigger. 15cc. We've definitely got a leak on that manifold. Whether it's coming from the top of the head or the manifold, I don't know, but we've definitely got a leak. But that's alright. What would it be without leaks? Nothing. So this is basically just a larger scale nitro engine, something which a lot of you are probably more familiar with. The only difference is it runs on petrol. Still got the same sort of bell, a similar carburetor, but that's something that you would normally see on a chainsaw or something like that. Similar sort of, it's even got the same style engine mounts, look, of what you would see on a nitro Savage. Pull start is the same. The head is a really good design. I love this design of head. It just looks impressive. A lot of manufacturers have gone down the boring route and made things look boring. Oh, it's modern day. No, this, even though this is only 10 years old, at the very maximum 10 years old, could be newer. I think they've done a great job in designing it, to be fair. Anyway, let's put it all back together, put it back in the car, and we can all be happy. Right, one last little thing to go on. The air filter, stick a cable tie around that. Happy days, that's all back together now, as that should be. Now with any luck, or what I do need to do actually, I do need to amend the throttle. The throttle was a bit dicky, wasn't it? But now, I've set the mesh. The mesh was a little bit off, it was too tight before. I've set it now, it's a lot looser. But the spur gear's got a little bit of a wobble in it. It's just the way it's made. It's just a bit wobbly, so it's not perfect, but that's alright. Can't have everything perfect. I'm just going to play around with the throttle, trying to get that to be so we get full throttle and a tick over. And then that'll be that. Well, I was just playing around with the throttle, just trying to adjust it, and all of a sudden, the little aluminium thing, collet, whatever you want to call that, stripped out. So the little grub screw in there just turns. So I've got this other one, I don't know what it's from, it's in my little drawer of bits and bobs. I'm going to nick that one off the end there, and we'll use that one. It's always handy to have. I've also got a spring on there. I might stick a spring on there because I think this throttle assembly could do with a spring, to be honest. We'll see. So that goes on there like that, and then we'll stick a spring, and then that goes on there, and that goes inside it. You can't see, can you? Let's go like that. There we go. So we've got the new little collet thing, a spring now, and that. Now we'll see how this works. Obviously it was designed without a spring, but I think a spring would do it good. I think it'll work better with a spring. So we'll see. The spring might be too long. Might need a shorter spring. I don't know. We'll find that out in due time. So let's do that. Right, so if we get that and push it along a little bit and do it up, what do we get? Right, now we get full throttle, but we don't get, it doesn't go back to tick over. This is the throttle here on the other side. So that is on brakes, but that's now on tick over. If we go like that, it revs it up a little bit. So what I've got to do now is to play around with this so that it'll work where we get a tick over and full throttle. Maybe if we slacken that spring, right, tick over is all the way back down there, so maybe our spring is too long. That's tick over, but we get about 3/4 throttle. Let me play around with it. Right, I've got it the best I can at the moment. I need to play around with this little linkage, because if you look how much play is in that, where that black screw goes in that little, look how much play is in there. That's causing trouble. I've been here for hours trying to get this to be a point where I get full throttle and tick over. At the moment we get nearly full throttle, but it does go back to a tick over. So I don't know whether it was supposed to have the little collar and a spring on this side from the factory and it's missing or not, but I've added it in anyway, and I've added a spring there. There wasn't a spring before. So now it seems to be working as close as I can possibly get it. For now, it's going to be more than good enough. So there we go, Savage Octane back together with a mended clutch and mended clutch bell and readjusted throttle. Hopefully now it'll work perfectly. I'm going to do some adjustments to the ignition coil in the future, in the next couple of days, weeks, because with it being in that box next to the receiver, it can interfere with the receiver. And I seem to remember, you know when you've got like a faint memory, I think that was something that they addressed in version 2, which they never actually released. But I'm just going to move the coil and put it somewhere else so it's away from the receiver. And it'll be better for the wires because they won't be kinked or anything like that anyway. A little bit of a spoiler, there's some nitro coming this way in the next week or two. Will It Run Nitro's old shed barn finds. So if you like that kind of stuff, stick around. If you like this kind of stuff, stick around. Treat people nice, treat people how you want to be treated. Don't try and change people, because people are who they are for a reason. Just accept everyone for who they are. Unless they're a paedophile, then they deserve to be shot. Other than that, I'll catch you lot later on. All the best.